It's 5:20 a.m. on the 8th of November 2025. The sun has not yet touched the Caribbean. From a small radar trailer near Soto Cano, Honduras, the night feels routine until one voice cuts through the static. Unidentified track, low altitude moving north. On the scope, a single dot slides fast over the water, only a few hundred feet high. Silent, no signal, no code. Within seconds, alarms flash. The controller picks up the red phone. Possible intrusion. Confirm intercept. Aboard the nearby amphib ship, deck crews rush to clear the pad. Two Marine AH-1Z Vipers power up, their twin rotors tearing the Dawn apart. Pilots glance once at each other, no talk, just motion. Vipers 1 and 2 lifting. The engines rise to a howl, and both helicopters push into the darkness toward the unknown contact. From the radar screen to the open sea, everyone holds their breath. One thought fills the air. If that drone isn't friendly, they have less than 5 minutes to prove it. What happened that morning was not a random blip on a radar. It was a message, a quiet test of how far someone was willing to push. The small drone that crossed into Marine airspace carried no ID, no beacon, and no reason to be there. Yet it flew straight toward one of the most sensitive corridors in the Caribbean, where every patrol and every radar sweep is tied to national defense. That patch of ocean between Honduras and Venezuela is more than empty water. It's the gateway to the Gulf, where the US Navy and Marine Corps practice amphibious landings, refueling, and rapid response drills. Every radar rotation measures not just distance, but trust that nothing unknown slips through the cracks. When a foreign-made drone appears, that trust is tested in real time. For rival powers, a cheap electric drone is more than a toy. It's a spy that costs thousands instead of millions. With the right optics, it can map flight routes, record communication bursts, and expose how fast the US reacts to surprise. For the Marines, it means one thing. If they wait too long, they risk losing control of the air above their own operations. Intelligence reports later confirmed what many feared: the wreckage held components built in Iran, Russia, and China, fused together in a way no one expected to see this close to American lines. If true, it marks the return of a dangerous alliance right at the US doorstep. This isn't just about one drone. It's about who owns the skies and who dares to test them. The line between warning and provocation has never been thinner. If you believe the drone was Venezuela's warning shot, press 1. If you think it was a setup from foreign allies testing America's limits, press 9. And make sure you're subscribed to see how this standoff unfolds. The first alert came from the radar van at Soto Cano. Unidentified aircraft, low altitude, bearing 095. The voice was calm but tense. The target wasn't answering, wasn't squawking any code, flying low and deliberate. The officer picked up the secure line and said 3 words: "Launch the Vipers." Aboard the amphib ship off Honduras, deck crews were already moving. 2 AH-1Z Vipers from Marine Squadron 367 roared to life. The night air shook. Pilots, Captain Harris and Major Cole, lifted from the deck and banked toward the coordinates streaming in from the G divided by ATOR radar. Every second mattered. From the control screen, 2 signals merged. Target range 3 to 8 miles, altitude under 1,000 feet. Through the infrared view, the object looked long and narrow, with twin rotors nothing like a civilian drone. Harris switched to the International Emergency Channel. Unidentified aircraft. This is U.S. Marine Patrol. Identify yourself immediately. Silence. Cole saw the target twist sharply left, as if evading. "It's maneuvering, copy?" "Copy," came back the order room. Rules of engagement. Confirm hostile intent. The drone dropped low, disappeared, then climbed again. That was enough. "Weapons free," said the controller. Harris selected AIM 9 Sidewinder, flipped the guard, waited for tone. The sound changed from a growl to a clean, steady pitch. Tone. He pressed the trigger. The missile streaked forward, vanishing into the dark. A flash lit the horizon, then fragments rained down. "Splash 1," Harris called. No secondary explosions. The engagement lasted barely 5 minutes. On deck, sailors cheered quietly, but officers stayed silent. They knew this wasn't just a victory, it was a warning. Minutes later, a small recovery team launched into the waves, pulling blackened fragments and a scorched camera lens from the water. No markings, no serial numbers, just questions. As daylight broke, the calm returned, but no one believed it would last. The Marines had answered the challenge. Now, the world waited to see who would answer back. If you think the Marines were right to take the shot, press 1. If you believe they acted too fast, press 9, and subscribe to see what the Pentagon discovered next. The drone was gone, but the shockwave had just begun. Within hours, every radar site in the Caribbean shifted to high alert. The USS Bataan, USS Wasp, and USS Iwo Jima tightened their patrol patterns, forming a moving wall across the sea. Surveillance aircraft like the Paid Ampères, Poseidon, and MQ-9 Reaper filled the sky, scanning for anything that moved below 1,000 feet. Inside the Pentagon, the first report arrived before sunrise. It called the intercept a tactical success, but the details made the room fall silent. The drone's wreckage contained electronics with serial numbers traced to Russian and Chinese suppliers, and a communication chip often found in Iranian UAVs. It wasn't just a mystery craft, it was proof of cooperation among three nations that rarely share data, let alone hardware. By noon, satellite feeds showed unusual activity inside Venezuela. At two military bases near Maracay and Punto Fijo, trucks were seen moving long crates out of hangars and into wooded areas. Analysts said it looked like a cleanup fast, organized, and planned. Caracas denied everything, calling the US strike an act of aggression, but the timing spoke louder than words. For the Marines, this was more than a single engagement. It was a signal that someone was probing their defenses. The South Command ordered a temporary expansion of surveillance lanes, stretching from the Gulf of Honduras to the northern coast of Colombia. Every ship, plane, and radar was told to stay ready. Even allied nations took notice. Canada and the United Kingdom backed Washington's right to act in international airspace, while Brazil called for restraint. The tension spread across headlines before the debris had even dried. Back at Soto Cano, crews rotated through 20-hour shifts. Operators stared at their scopes, knowing another blip could appear any minute. On the deck of the Bataan, pilots ran through silent checks, fuel, weapons, comms again and again, not because orders demanded it, but because repetition was the only way to stay calm. In close combat, every angle counts. Even a 5-degree turn can mean survival. That's the mindset across the task force now. One wrong move, and a quiet morning turns into a full-scale crisis. If you think Venezuela was hiding more drones after the strike, press 1. If you believe this was just a single warning and nothing more, press 9 and subscribe to follow how this standoff turns into a race for control of the Caribbean sky. The biggest surprise came 2 days later, when the recovery team finished analyzing the fragments pulled from the water. Inside a sealed section of the fuselage, engineers found a module coated in resin, harder than concrete. When they finally broke it open, they discovered a small transmitter operating on encrypted frequencies. One's normally linked to Russian electronic warfare systems like Prosuka 4. That single detail changed everything. The drone hadn't just been spying, it was mapping radar signatures, testing response time, and possibly feeding data to a control hub miles away. What looked like a small reconnaissance flight now appeared to be part of a wider network, a silent web of drones gathering intelligence on every US patrol route in the Caribbean. Satellite data confirmed the suspicion. At least 3 more unidentified objects were seen in the following days, flying in formation near the Venezuelan coast, each with a similar flight pattern: low, fast, and electronically quiet. The pattern was too deliberate to ignore. In Washington, analysts warned this could be a coordinated probe, a rehearsal designed to expose weak points in the South Command's radar coverage. The timing matched recent reports of foreign technicians arriving in Venezuela, advisors from Tehran and Moscow working quietly on aerial surveillance projects. The message was now obvious. Someone wanted the Marines to see these drones to watch their reaction, measure their tactics, and learn their limits. The first shootdown wasn't the end. It was the opening move. Back aboard the USS Bataan, a young Marine pointed to the drone's recovered circuit board and said, "It's not advanced, it's adaptive. Cheap parts, smart coding, and no flag attached." That made it far more dangerous than anyone expected. By the third night, the sea looked calm, but every ship in the task force was tense. At 2:10 a.m., a radar operator aboard the USS Bataan caught a faint return low, erratic, moving directly toward them. "Possible contact," he said. The bridge went silent. Within seconds, the same two AH-1Z Vipers that had destroyed the first drone were lifting off again, their rotors slicing the humid night. On the screen, the new object changed speed twice, then dropped below 500 feet. The radar flickered. "We're being jammed," a tech muttered. Static cut through the feed. The drone had learned from its fallen twin. It wasn't just hiding, it was fighting back. Vipers 1 and 2, weapons free if hostile confirmed. The helicopter skimmed the waves, sensors scanning the darkness. Captain Harris saw a faint glint through the clouds. "Visual on contact," he said. Same frame, same pattern. The drone suddenly banked left, then dove straight toward them, something no reckoned craft should do. For one long heartbeat, no one spoke. Then Major Cole's voice cracked over the comms. "He's coming for us!" Harris locked the seeker, heard the high, clean tone, and squeezed. Box 2. The missile tore away, leaving a white streak across the black. A brilliant flash followed no explosion, no debris, just a shockwave rolling over the sea. "Splash confirmed," Harris said quietly. The controller's voice came back calm, steady. "Well done. Return to base." When they landed, the deck was washed in pale dawn. Crewmen stood in silence, staring east, waiting for another blip that never came. The pilots removed their helmets, faces still set. The battle had lasted less than 4 minutes, but it felt like a new kind of war, silent, unseen, and without borders. Everyone knew the message now. The Caribbean sky would never be the same. The next fight wouldn't come with warning, it would arrive in the dark, small, and fast. If you think the Marines should strike every drone before it crosses the line, press 1. If you believe caution prevents war, press 9 and subscribe to see how Washington's answer reshaped the rules of engagement. The wreckage from the second drone reached Cherry Point Air Station within 48 hours. Technicians worked under guard, scanning every fragment for serial numbers and heat marks. What they found confirmed the fear. Circuit boards sourced from China, optical sensors stamped in Russia, and encrypted transmitters patterned after Iranian military systems. It wasn't one nation's drone, it was a hybrid weapon, built through shared technology and a single goal: to test how far America's defenses could bend before breaking. At the Pentagon, curiosity turned to urgency. If low-cost drones could slip that close to a Marine task force, every radar blind spot across the Caribbean had to be rechecked. New patrol grids were drawn. Pate Ampere's Poseidons doubled their routes, and MQ-9 Reapers began flying continuous loops, keeping the sea under constant surveillance day and night. But vigilance has a cost. Each extra hour in the air burned fuel, fatigued crews, and drained budgets. That was the enemy's real move, forcing America to spend millions to counter drones that cost only a few $1,000s each. It wasn't open warfare. It was economic pressure disguised as reconnaissance. Meanwhile, Caracas denied all involvement, but could not explain why radar silence was ordered across its northern bases that week. In Moscow and Tehran, state media celebrated new defense cooperation in Latin America. The message was clear: the Caribbean is no longer America's private backyard. For the Marines aboard the Bataan, daily routines returned, but tension lingered. Every new radar echo made hearts tighten. The sky looked calm, yet everyone knew it was watched. Washington's answer came quietly but firmly: expand sensor networks, close radar gaps, and enforce one rule: identify, warn, and if ignored, engage. What began as a single intercept had redrawn the map of deterrence. The next challenge, everyone knew, was already on its way. If you believe these rising alliances are pulling the Caribbean toward a new Cold War, press 1. If you think America's resolve will keep the peace, Press 9 and subscribe to follow this unfolding battle for the skies.